There comes a moment in every person's life when everything seems to stop. A precise instant when you feel that the path you've been walking for years no longer leads anywhere. Maybe you're there right now. Maybe you feel that something inside you is desperately calling for a change, but you don't know how to begin. Zen masters discovered centuries ago something that modern science is only beginning to understand. Life cycles are not accidents. They are opportunities disguised as crises. And today, you are going to discover how to recognize the exact moment when one cycle ends and another is ready to begin. Because what you are experiencing is not the end. It is the threshold of your transformation. Today we are going to talk about the Zen cycle shift, one of the most powerful, and at the same time most misunderstood concepts in Eastern philosophy. We are not talking about simple motivation or positive thinking. We are talking about ancient wisdom that will teach you how to read the signals of your own life. Over the next 30 minutes, I am going to share with you 3 fundamental Zen stories that reveal the secrets of cycle change. You will learn how to identify when a cycle has ended, how to let go of the old without fear, and above all, how to embrace the new with the wisdom of someone who understands that everything flows. But first, let me tell you something. In my years of studying Zen traditions, I have seen people completely transformed when they finally understand this principle. I have seen men and women trapped in jobs they hate, in relationships that drain them, in versions of themselves that stopped working years ago. And I have seen how everything changes when they learn what you are about to learn today. Let's begin with a story that changed my own perspective on the cycles of life. Once upon a time, there was a young monk named Kenji who arrived at a Zen monastery high in the mountains. He was full of enthusiasm, energy, and a deep desire to learn. His teacher, an elderly man with a serene gaze named Hakuin, welcomed him with a single task: to take care of the temple garden for 1 full year. Kenji accepted with joy. Every morning before dawn, he went out to the garden and worked with absolute dedication. He watered the plants, pulled out weeds, trimmed the bushes. The garden flourished under his care, and he felt proud. Then autumn arrived, and with it, the leaves began to fall. Kenji worked tirelessly, gathering every leaf that fell, trying to keep the garden perfect. But the leaves kept falling more and more each day. He grew frustrated, exhausted, but he did not give up. One day, as Kenji was picking up leaves for the umpteenth time, Master Hakuin approached and sat silently, watching. After a long while, he spoke. "Kenji, why are you fighting against autumn?" The young monk, sweaty and tired, replied, "Master, I'm just trying to keep the garden beautiful, the way it was in spring and summer." Hakuin smiled gently. "The garden is still beautiful, but you cannot see it because you insist that it be beautiful in your way, not in nature's way. The leaves must fall. It is their cycle. And in that falling, there is a beauty that exists only in autumn." Kenji stopped, confused. "So should I let the garden fill with dead leaves?" "No," said the master. "You must allow the leaves to fall. You must gather them when the appropriate time comes. But you must not fight the natural cycle of things. The spring garden has already ended. The summer garden has already ended. This is the autumn garden. Accept it and you will find peace. Fight it and you will find only suffering." This story contains one of the deepest truths about cycle changes in our lives. How many times have you clung to a version of yourself that no longer exists? How many times have you tried to keep alive a stage of life that has naturally already ended? It's like Kenji trying to keep the garden in spring when it is clearly autumn. You see, many people suffer unnecessarily because they fail to recognize that a cycle has ended. They continue acting as if circumstances were the same, as if they themselves were the same. But they are not. Maybe there was a time in your life when you were the life of the party, when your social energy was endless. And now, 10 or 20 years later, you force yourself to be that person again, even though your soul is asking for stillness and deep conversations. You are fighting against autumn. Or perhaps you built a brilliant career, sacrificed everything for it, and now you realize that your priorities have changed. You have children, or you have lost someone dear, or you have simply matured. Yet you keep pushing yourself with the same intensity, ignoring the fact that your professional spring has passed and that you now need a different rhythm. Zen wisdom teaches us something revolutionary. Every cycle has its own perfection. Autumn is not less beautiful than spring. It is simply beautiful in a different way. The question is not, how do I get back what I lost? The right question is, what new kind of beauty does the cycle I am living now bring? Because here is the secret that changes everything. When you stop resisting the cycle you are living, when you fully accept it, something magical happens. The energy you were spending on resistance is released. And with that energy you can create something new, something appropriate for this moment in your life. But here comes the part no one tells you about cycle changes. The part Zen masters kept as a secret for generations. It is not enough to accept that a cycle has ended. There is an intermediate step, a sacred space between the end of one cycle and the beginning of the next. A place that most people pass through with their eyes closed, missing the greatest gift life can offer. Zen masters call it Ma, the empty space. And in the next few minutes, you are going to discover why this empty space is actually the most powerful moment of your entire transformation. But first, I need to tell you the story of the fisherman who lost everything. In a coastal village lived a fisherman named Tenzo. For 30 years, he had gone out to sea every morning. He knew every wave, every current, every secret of the ocean. Fishing was his identity, his purpose, his entire life. One night, a terrible storm struck the coast. When dawn came, Tenzo's boat was destroyed. Not only his boat, the entire village fleet had been wiped out. There was no way to repair the damage. Tenzo's cycle as a fisherman had come to an abrupt end. During the first days, Tenzo wandered along the beach in shock, staring at the remains of his boat. "I am a fisherman," he kept repeating to himself. "I have always been a fisherman. Who am I without my boat?" He felt empty without purpose. Some villagers began to rebuild, to plan new boats. But Tenzo felt paralyzed. He couldn't move forward, yet he couldn't go back either. One day, as he walked along the beach at dawn, he saw a Zen monk sitting in meditation facing the sea. He was a wandering master named Dogen. Without knowing why, Tenzo sat down beside him. After a long hour of silence, Dogen spoke without opening his eyes. "The ocean is calm this morning." "Yes," Tenzo replied bitterly. "Calm now that it has already destroyed my life." "Your life?" Dogen asked, finally opening his eyes. "Tell me about your life." And Tenzo spoke. He spoke for hours. He spoke about the sea, about fishing, about his lost identity. The monk simply listened. When Tenzo finished, exhausted, Dogen asked, "And what is there between the end of your boat and the beginning of what comes next?" "Nothing," said Tenzo. "Just this horrible emptiness." Dogen smiled. "That emptiness is not horrible. It is sacred. It is Ma, the space in between. It is where all true transformation happens. But you must inhabit it consciously, not run away from it." "I don't understand," said Tenzo. "You will," the monk replied. "Come tomorrow at dawn. I will teach you how to sit in the Ma." If this story is resonating with you, if you feel you are discovering something you needed to hear, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Every week, I share Zen stories and ancient teachings that can transform your perspective on life. Press the subscribe button and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. We are a community of seekers, of people who understand that ancient wisdom has answers for our modern problems. Now, let's continue with Tenzo's story, because what happened in the days that followed holds the key to navigating your own cycle changes. For the next 30 days, Tenzo sat with Master Dogen at dawn. At first, it was torture. His mind screamed, "You should be doing something. You need a plan. You have to rebuild your life." But Dogen taught him to simply observe those thoughts without acting on them. "The Ma," the master said, "is not an emptiness you must fill quickly. It is a space you must fully inhabit. Only there will you discover who you are without the labels you have placed upon yourself. Slowly, something began to change in Tenzo. In the stillness of the Ma, he started to notice things he had never seen before. He noticed how the sun painted the sky differently every morning. He noticed how birds fished in ways he had never observed in his 30 years at sea. He noticed his own breath, his own thoughts, his own fears. And in that observation he began to know himself not as Tenzo the fisherman, but simply as Tenzo. 1 month later, something unexpected happened. Tenzo began to carve. Using wood that the storm had washed up on the shore, he started creating small sculptures of birds, fish, and waves. He didn't do it for money or for purpose. He did it because something inside him wanted to express itself that way. The sculptures were extraordinary. They captured the movement of the sea in a way that only someone who had lived 30 years on the ocean could achieve. Villagers began to buy them. Travelers requested them. Within a few months, Tenzo had a new craft, one he never would have discovered if he had immediately jumped into rebuilding his life like the other fishermen. Master Dogen eventually left the village, but before he did, he said to Tenzo, "The Ma gave you a gift. It showed you that you are not what you do. You are who you are. And from that place of truth, whatever you do will be authentic." This teaching of Ma may be the most important one for the times we are living in. We live in a culture that teaches us to fear emptiness. When something ends, a job, a relationship, a stage of life, we feel a desperate urgency to fill it immediately with something new. Anything. Whatever it takes, as long as we don't have to feel that uncomfortable space. But Zen masters teach us the exact opposite. That empty space is not your enemy. It is your teacher. Think of it this way. When you end a cycle, you carry with you the identity, beliefs, and patterns of that cycle. If you immediately jump into the next cycle without processing the previous one, you drag all that baggage with you. It's like trying to plant new seeds in soil that is still full of old roots. The seeds cannot grow properly. Ma is the space where the old roots decompose and nourish the soil. It is where you process, where you integrate, where you allow your old identity to dissolve so that something new can emerge. What does this look like in practice? If you have just ended a relationship, Ma is that period when you don't immediately look for another partner. Not because you are punishing yourself, but because you are learning to be with yourself, rediscovering who you are without that person. If you have left a job or a career, Ma is the space where you don't immediately jump into the next position. It's where you ask yourself, what truly matters to me? What have I learned? What do I want to create now? If your children have grown up and left home, Ma is that time when you don't immediately fill your schedule with 1,000 activities. It's where you rediscover interests you set aside, where you reconnect with parts of yourself you put on pause. Ma requires courage. It requires trusting that something new will emerge naturally, in its own time, without forcing it. There is one final story I want to share with you, because it reveals the ultimate secret about cycle changes. There was a Zen teacher named Ishin who ran a small temple in the mountains. One day, a middle-aged woman named Yuki arrived, her eyes red from so much crying. "Master," Yuki said, "my life is in ruins. I lost my job, my husband left me, my adult children barely speak to me. Everything I built over 40 years has collapsed. And the worst part is that I don't know how to start over. I'm too old to change." Ishin listened in silence. Then she led Yuki to the temple garden, where a bamboo forest was growing. "Do you see this bamboo?" Ishin asked. "Do you know how long bamboo takes to grow?" "No," Yuki replied. "When you plant a bamboo seed," the master explained, "you water it and care for it for an entire year. And nothing happens. Nothing sprouts from the ground. You care for the seed a second year. Nothing. A third year. Nothing. A fourth year. Still nothing. Many gardeners give up, thinking the seed is dead. But in the 5th year, something extraordinary happens. The bamboo breaks through the ground and grows 30 meters in just 6 weeks. 30 meters in 6 weeks, after 5 years of apparent inactivity. Ishin looked directly into Yuki's eyes. Did the bamboo grow in 6 weeks, or did it grow for 5 years? Yuki blinked, beginning to understand. It grew for 5 years. Underground, where no one could see it. Exactly, said Ishin. During those 5 years, the bamboo was developing roots. Roots so vast, deep, and strong that they could support that explosive growth when the time came. The master continued, Yuki, your life is not in ruins. You are in the underground phase of the bamboo. Everything you have lived through, the pain, the loss, the collapse of what was old, is creating roots within you. Roots of wisdom, compassion, and inner strength that you didn't even know you had. When you emerge, and you will grow in ways you cannot even imagine right now. But that growth will only be possible because of the roots you are developing in the darkness. Yuki stood looking at the bamboo forest. For the first time in months, she felt something like hope. How long will it take? She asked softly. Ishin smiled. As long as it needs to. But I'll tell you a secret. The moment you stop asking when and begin to trust the process, the roots grow faster. And here we arrive at the heart of everything we have explored today. Zen cycle changes are not linear. They are not predictable. And they definitely do not follow the timelines our anxious minds want to impose on them. Like Kenji's garden, we must accept the season we are living in. Like Tenzo, we must inhabit the ma, the empty space, without running from it. And like Yuki, we must trust that even if we don't see visible growth, roots are developing deep within our being. How do you recognize that you are in a cycle change? There are clear signs. You feel that the things that used to work no longer do. The strategies that brought you success in the past now exhaust you. The relationships that once nourished you now feel empty. The goals you once pursued with passion now seem irrelevant. These are not signs of failure. They are signs that a cycle is coming to completion. And here is the beautiful part. Cycle changes are not punishments. They are invitations. They are life's way of telling you, you've learned everything there was to learn here. You are ready for the next level. But that next level requires that you let go of your previous version of yourself. You cannot carry your old identity into your new life. It's impossible. It's like trying to fit an adult into the clothes they wore as a child. It doesn't work, not because the adult is wrong, but because they've grown. They need new clothes that fit who they are now. Your new cycles need a new version of you. And that version emerges naturally when you stop clinging to the old one. So I leave you with a question to reflect on. What cycle of your life are you in right now? Are you in spring, planting new seeds? In summer, flourishing? In autumn, letting go of leaves? Or in winter, resting and preparing to renew yourself? Whatever your season is, it is the right one. It is the one you need. And it has its own gifts to offer you. If this video has brought you clarity, if you felt these stories were speaking directly to your situation, I invite you once again to subscribe to this channel. Join our community of seekers who find deep answers for modern life in Zen wisdom. Give this video a like if it was helpful, and share it with someone you know who is going through a cycle change. Sometimes the right story at the right moment can change everything. And leave me a comment telling me, what season of your life are you in right now? I would love to read you and create a conversation in the community we are building together. Remember the 3 teachings from today. First, every cycle has its own perfection. Stop fighting the season you are living in. Second, the empty space between cycles, the ma, is not a problem to solve. It is a teacher that reveals who you are without your labels. Third, real growth happens underground, invisible, developing roots. Trust the process even when you don't see immediate results. Your cycle change is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of the most authentic chapter you have written so far. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Zen teachings. I'll see you in the next video, where we will explore more ancient wisdom for your modern life. Until then, take a deep breath, let go of what needs to be released, and trust the cycle you are living. Namaste.